They told you muscle loss after 60 was just part of aging, that it was as certain as gray hair, reading glasses, and a bigger pill organizer. But what if they were wrong? What if there was something sitting in your kitchen right now, hiding behind the orange juice or tucked in the back of the pantry, that could flip your body's repair switch back on and make your legs feel decades younger? This isn't some miracle powder in a shiny canister. It's not a magic berry from a jungle you've never heard of. It's an everyday food that's been in front of you your whole life, overlooked, underappreciated, and quietly capable of sending fresh strength into your muscles faster than most supplements on the shelf. And here's the kicker. It's not just what you eat, it's when you eat it. Because once you pass 60, your body's repair window, what scientists call the anabolic pulse, shrinks dramatically. Miss that window, and even the best protein in the world won't help your muscles the way it should. But hit it dead on, that's when the magic happens. Let's be real. If you're over 60, you've probably felt the change. The legs that used to carry you without a second thought now feel heavier after a short walk. You stand up from the couch and there's that half-second wobble you never used to have. Stairs seem steeper, and maybe you've caught yourself saying, well, that's just aging. But here's the truth. It's not just aging. It's a series of small, silent changes that add up: muscle fibers breaking down faster than they're repaired, blood flow slowing, nutrient delivery stalling. And it happens so gradually that you don't notice until one day, carrying a laundry basket up the stairs leaves you winded. Now imagine reversing that. Imagine climbing those same stairs and feeling your legs respond instantly, steady, strong, and ready to go again. Imagine walking into the grocery store and realizing you're not leaning on the cart as much as before. Imagine getting out of bed in the morning and feeling light. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you combine two things: the right food and the right timing. And the best part? You don't need a personal trainer, a new gym membership, or a schedule full of workouts you don't enjoy. You just need to make one small shift in how you start your day. Over the next few minutes, you're going to hear real stories from people who've done it, folks in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, who turned their leg strength around without a single dumbbell curl. You'll see what researchers at some of the top universities have discovered about muscle loss and recovery in older adults. And most importantly, you'll learn exactly how to apply this in your own life, starting tomorrow morning. But before we get into the how, you need to understand why this works, why your legs, more than any other part of your body, take the hardest hit as you age, and why certain foods can act like a mini physical therapist for your muscles. This isn't about bulking up or chasing six-pack abs. This is about keeping the kind of strength that lets you live life on your own terms. Because here's the hard truth. The biggest threat to independence as we age isn't memory loss or heart problems. It's losing the muscle power to stand, walk, and balance without help. Once that starts to go, everything else follows. But today, you're going to see that decline isn't inevitable, it's reversible. And it starts with understanding a single word doctors use for muscle loss after 60: sarcopenia. You roll out of bed, plant your feet on the floor, and something feels different. It's not pain exactly, more like your legs are moving through molasses. The first few steps are careful, almost hesitant, like your body's double-checking that everything's still working. For most people over 60, that feeling has a name: sarcopenia. It sounds like something from a medical textbook, but it simply means muscle loss. And while it affects the whole body, your legs are often the first to show it. Why? Because they do the heavy lifting for nearly every move you make: walking, standing, climbing stairs, even just keeping you upright when the sidewalk tilts under your feet. Here's the part most people don't realize. Sarcopenia doesn't just happen overnight. It starts quietly, years before you feel it. Every year after about 40, the average adult loses 1% of their muscle mass. By the time you hit 60, the pace often doubles. And because your legs are packed with large, powerful muscles, quads, hamstrings, calves, they take the biggest hit. Think about it. Every time you stand up, you're asking those muscles to lift the entire weight of your body. Every step up a stair is like doing a mini squat. And every time you steady yourself after tripping on a rug or stepping off a curb, your legs are doing instant emergency work to keep you balanced. So when those muscles start shrinking, you notice sometimes it shows up as shaky knees when you turn quickly in the kitchen, or that awkward moment when you go to step over something and your foot catches just a little too soon. Other times, it's more subtle, like feeling winded halfway through a grocery store aisle, even though you've been walking your whole life. Now, the easy explanation is that's just getting older. But here's the real story. Much of that weakness isn't from age itself, but from how your body processes and repairs muscle as you get older. In your 20s and 30s, your muscles are like well-staffed construction crews. You give them the raw materials, protein, nutrients, and they're on the job instantly, patching every crack and filling every gap. After 60, those crews shrink. Fewer workers, slower delivery trucks, and longer delays between repairs. The cracks, tiny muscle fiber tears, stay open longer, and the muscles slowly lose both size and strength. Add in a little less physical activity, maybe some slower blood flow, and suddenly the once reliable legs you've had your whole life don't feel the same. But here's where it gets interesting. Scientists studying muscle loss in older adults notice something odd. Not all seniors lose strength at the same rate. Some hold on to surprisingly strong legs well into their 70s and 80s. The difference? It often comes down to what and when they eat and how those nutrients get to the muscles. Think of your legs like a house with a sagging porch. If you just let it sit, the damage spreads. But if you send the right materials and the right crew at the right time, the repairs can happen surprisingly fast, even after years of neglect. That's why the next part of this story matters so much. Because while most people think you need endless workouts or expensive supplements to fight sarcopenia, researchers have found something far simpler. An everyday food that acts like a mini physical therapist for your legs. It's been hiding in grocery stores all along. And when paired with one timing trick, it can spark repair in muscles that haven't felt strong in years. Meet Mary, 71 years old, widowed, and still tending the garden she planted with her late husband decades ago. She's the kind of woman who can tell you the exact week the roses will bloom and still hauls watering cans like they weigh nothing. Or at least, that's how it used to be. Last spring, something changed. The slope from her garden up to her porch, a path she'd walked hundreds of times, suddenly felt like a hill climb. Halfway up, her legs would quiver, her breathing would quicken, and she'd grip the railing just to steady herself. Getting older, she told herself, comes with the territory. Her doctor gave her the standard advice: protein shakes, seated leg presses, maybe a light resistance band routine. Mary followed the plan. Weeks passed, progress barely noticeable. The porch still felt like Everest. Then a visiting physiologist, a friend of her niece, stopped by. After watching Mary walk, he asked her a strange question. "What do you eat in the morning and when?" Mary shrugged. "Oatmeal around 9, maybe some toast." Why? That's when he told her about a quiet breakthrough coming out of the National Institute on Aging. Researchers there had been tracking a group of older adults, giving them small servings of a particular grocery store food. Not a supplement, not a powder, just something you could toss in your shopping cart. The results? Shocking. Within one morning, repair enzymes in the participants' muscles surged. Quads, hamstrings, calves, all showing signs of renewed activity. Grip strength up 12%, walking speed faster. And this wasn't over months. It happened the same day. Mary was skeptical. She'd been around long enough to hear her share of miracle food stories. But the physiologist smiled. "I'm not asking you to believe me," he said. "I'm asking you to try it. One serving tomorrow morning." The next day, Mary swapped her usual oatmeal for the mystery food. She ate it without ceremony, then went about her morning. She weeded, pruned, and watered, moving slowly but steadily. And then something strange happened. Coming back up the porch steps, she didn't grab the railing. She didn't need to. Her legs felt steady, strong, almost springy. She paused at the top, surprised. She wasn't out of breath. By the following week, she was climbing those steps 2 at a time, laughing like a kid who'd just found a trampoline. Mary's experience mirrored what scientists saw in the lab. The key wasn't just the food's protein content. Plenty of foods have protein. It was the presence of bioactive peptides. Think of them like tiny construction crews, small enough to slip through the bloodstream and dock directly onto damaged muscle fibers without delay. Most proteins take too long to break down. By the time they're ready, your muscles have already missed their prime repair window. But these peptides, they clock in within minutes, patching micro tears and reinforcing weak spots before the day's wear and tear sets in. That's why researchers started calling this food nature's mini physical therapist. It doesn't just feed the muscle, it activates it. The mystery food worked for Mary, for dozens of others in the trial, and potentially for anyone willing to combine it with the next crucial step, timing it with your body's hidden repair window. Mary could have eaten that mystery food at any time of the day. But here's the twist. If she had, it probably wouldn't have worked nearly as well. That's because after 60, your body's muscle repair signal doesn't stay on all day. In fact, scientists have discovered it only flips on for a short burst each morning, a window they call the Anabolic Pulse. Think of it like a construction crew that shows up at dawn, tools in hand, ready to repair every crack and chip in the sidewalk. They work fast, they work well, but only if the raw materials arrive on time. Miss that delivery, and they pack up for the day, leaving the cracks untouched. In your 20s or 30s, that pulse can last nearly 2 hours after waking. Your body is more forgiving, more patient. But once you pass 60, that window can shrink to less than 40 minutes. By the time you've had your coffee, scrolled the morning news, and thought about breakfast, you may have already missed it. Researchers at the University of Texas tracked this phenomenon in adults from age 20. They found that older adults who fed their muscles during the anabolic pulse had a massive surge in muscle-building enzymes, specifically mTOR, the master switch for muscle growth. Those who missed the window, no surge, no meaningful repair. Mary's physiologist told her exactly when to eat. Get out of bed, move around a little, and then about 20 minutes after you've started your day, have the food. That's when your body's insulin sensitivity is highest. Your cells are literally begging for nutrients, and those peptides can ride straight into your muscle fibers. Mary took it seriously. She kept a notebook by her toaster and wrote down the minute she swung her legs out of bed. On day 1, she ate at her usual 9 a.m. Nothing changed. Day 2, she ate the mystery food at 7:15 exactly 20 minutes after waking. Before she'd even rinsed her breakfast bowl, she felt a warm buzz in her quads. By the end of the week, those porch steps felt like a slight incline instead of a hill. The science backs her story. Early morning insulin sensitivity acts like a key, unlocking muscle cells so nutrients can get in. Bioactive peptides take full advantage, repairing microtears, plugging weak spots, and even calling in extra mitochondria to produce more energy. Here's the beauty. This doesn't mean giving up your coffee. Black coffee barely nudges insulin levels, so sip away while you wait for that 20-minute mark. In fact, a short walk or light stretch during those minutes can boost blood flow, priming your legs to absorb the incoming nutrients even faster. The only real don'ts: avoid big sugar hits before or with your mystery food. Sugar slams the insulin gate shut before your repair crew can clock in. That's like dropping a pile of bricks in front of a locked construction site. The materials are there, but no one can get in to use them. The takeaway: if you want the mystery food to work like a switch for your leg strength, don't just eat it, time it, hit that pulse. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how quickly your legs remember what it feels like to be strong. Next, we'll reveal exactly what that food is and a breakfast hack that doubles its muscle-boosting power without adding a single supplement. Slide open your fridge door. There it is, hiding in plain sight behind the orange juice, probably sitting there without a second thought. Plain, low-fat cottage cheese. Not the flashy protein powder in a neon tub, not some exotic berry powder promising superfood miracles. Just those soft white curds your grandmother might have spooned onto peaches in the summertime. Here's why it matters. Gram for gram, cottage cheese delivers more fast-acting leucine peptides than a double scoop of most designer whey powders. And leucine isn't just another amino acid. It's the light switch nutrient that tells your muscles to stop breaking down and start building back up. Scientists at the University of Texas tested it. Just half a cup of cottage cheese eaten during the Anabolic Pulse sent mTOR activity, the muscle growth switch, soaring within 20 minutes. They traced it to the way cottage cheese is made. During fermentation, milk proteins are naturally pre-digested into tiny peptides, small enough to slip through the bloodstream and dock directly on damaged fibers. This isn't about bulking up. This is about hitting what researchers call the leucine threshold. Below 3 grams of leucine, the repair crews don't get the go-ahead. Above it, they sprint into action. Most breakfasts, toast, cereal, even eggs don't hit that mark. Cottage cheese nails it in just a few spoonfuls. And here's the breakfast hack that doubles its impact: cinnamon spiked apples. Why? Cinnamon gives insulin sensitivity an extra boost, opening muscle cell doors wider so more peptides can get in. Apples add pectin, a type of fiber that slows digestion just enough to stretch peptide release across the full 40-minute repair window. You're not just flooding the muscle once, you're giving it a steady stream of building blocks right when it's ready to use them. Mary swears by this combo now. On Sunday nights, she preps 3 small jars, half a cup of cottage cheese, half a chopped apple, and a sprinkle of cinnamon. At exactly 20 minutes after waking, she grabs a jar, sits by the window with her coffee, and eats slowly. By the time she stands up, there's that familiar warmth in her legs, a signal the repair crews are already on the job. Want to test it yourself? Here's the challenge. Tomorrow morning, 20 minutes after you wake, eat half a cup of plain low-fat cottage cheese with a dash of cinnamon and apple slices. Then, later in the day, notice how your knees feel when you get up from a chair or walk down the grocery aisle. A few tips if you're trying this. Go low sodium. Too much salt blunts the insulin boost you need for delivery. Skip the flavored tubs, added sugars, slam the nutrient gate shut. No blender required. The texture itself helps slow the release. It's cheap, it's fast, and for many seniors, it's the single easiest change that makes the stairs feel shorter and the legs feel steadier, sometimes in just days. And once you've fired up that morning repair cycle, there's no reason to let it fizzle by lunchtime. That's where our next step comes in, a plant-based lunch that's proven to match the muscle-building power of meat without the heavy, sluggish feeling. Morning's job is done. The peptides are in, the repair crews are clocked in, and your legs are running on a fresh layer of strength. But here's the mistake most people make. They let the momentum die by lunchtime. They fill their plate with a limp sandwich or a quick bowl of soup, and for the rest of the afternoon, their muscles are running on fumes. The truth? Noon is prime time for a second wave of repair, if you choose the right food. And here's where I'm going to surprise you. That food doesn't have to be meat. In fact, plant-based protein can hit just as hard as chicken or beef if you pair it with the right partner. That's exactly what researchers at McMaster University discovered when they put seniors on tofu tacos instead of chicken salad. On paper, the meat eaters should have had the advantage, but when the tofu was paired with something simple, red bell peppers, the results shocked everyone. At 2-hour intervals after lunch, both groups showed identical spikes in muscle protein synthesis. The plant group kept pace with the meat group, step for step. The secret wasn't magic soybeans. It was vitamin C. Vitamin C recycles used up leucine, letting each molecule do double duty. Picture it like refilling a paint roller without stopping the job. The protein keeps working longer, and the repairs don't slow down. Carlos, 65, runs a small bicycle repair shop. Meat lunches made him sluggish and heavy, so by mid-afternoon the stairs to his loft felt like Everest. When he swapped his ham roll for a warm bowl of red pepper stir-fried tofu over quinoa, things changed. 3 weeks later, he messaged the study's lead author, "I'm sprinting up the loft ladder again. No afternoon crash." A follow-up DEXA scan confirmed it. He'd gained 2 pounds of lean leg muscle without changing his body fat. Here's how to copy it. Protein target: about 20 grams of soy protein, which is roughly feed cup of firm tofu. Cooking method: slice, stir fry for 5 minutes. Toss in 1 diced red bell pepper. Finish: a squeeze of lemon for extra vitamin C insurance. Bonus: serve over quinoa for a slow, steady carb release that keeps insulin low but steady, stretching your anabolic window to nearly 90 minutes. Not a tofu fan? Tempeh works too. Just make sure you hit that 20-gram protein mark. And let's bust a myth while we're here. Soy doesn't mess with hormones the way rumors claim. In fact, multiple meta-analyses show that for seniors, the phytoestrogens in soy actually help balance hormone levels and strengthen bones, all while building muscle. Want to know if it's working? Try the chair rise test before you switch, and again after a week of tofu lunches. If you stand from a chair 10 times, even 1 second faster than before, that's a win. The only caution: watch the sodium. Some pre-marinated tofu can have over 500 milligrams of salt per serving, which can undo the insulin sensitivity boost you've been working for all morning. Stick to plain blocks, season them yourself, and you're in the clear. Now your morning and midday muscle building are handled, but there's still that 3:30 slump when your legs feel like sandbags and your motivation starts to fade. The solution? A 5-minute snack that floods tired muscles with oxygen and turns your evening walk into a stealth workout. It's mid-afternoon and you feel it. Your legs aren't sore. They're just heavy, like someone swapped them for sandbags when you weren't looking. Most people chalk this up to fatigue, but the real culprit is something far sneakier, a nitric oxide dip. Nitric oxide is your body's blood flow signal. It tells your blood vessels to open wide and send fresh oxygen where it's needed. When levels drop, those vessels tighten and your muscles get less fuel. Less oxygen, fewer nutrients, slower repair. Here's the fix, and it's faster than any workout. A single cup of beetroot puree blended with half a frozen banana and a tablespoon of plain cocoa powder. Why this combo? Beets are loaded with dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide. Cocoa contains epicatechins, compounds that keep those nitrates active for longer. Banana adds potassium to keep blood pressure in check while your vessels widen. Together, they're like turning your 2-lane blood supply into a 6-lane highway. Eleanor, 73, hated beets, said they tasted like a garden hose, but she wanted to keep up with her granddaughter on their evening strolls. Her solution was simple: roast beet chunks, freeze them in ice cube trays, then blitz 3 cubes with the banana and cocoa. The chocolate masked the earthy flavor and the color stayed a cheerful magenta. 15 minutes after her first smoothie, Eleanor's smartwatch showed a 5-beat drop in resting heart rate and a 10% jump in her step cadence. She mailed the printout to her cardiologist, who wrote back, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." You don't need a fitness tracker to feel the change. Try the 2-story test. Drink the smoothie, wait 20 minutes, then walk up a flight of stairs at your normal pace. If your thighs burn less and your breathing steadies faster, you've just felt nitric oxide at work. Here's the fine print. Skip mouthwash for a few hours after drinking it. Mouthwash kills the bacteria in your mouth that help convert beet nitrates into usable nitrites. Don't overdo it. 6 ounces of beet puree is enough. More can upset your stomach and actually reduce insulin sensitivity. Pair with a 5-minute brisk walk after drinking. Movement speeds nitrate conversion and keeps benefits rolling for up to 6 hours. By now, your day has covered all 3 pillars of muscle support: fast-acting peptides in the morning, plant-powered leucine at lunch, and oxygen-rich circulation in the afternoon. But there's still one more piece, the final act that locks in every gain you've made and turns your sleep into the most powerful repair shift of the day. Night falls, so your muscles have been on duty all day, walking, climbing, balancing, steadying you without complaint. Now they're ready for their biggest shift, overnight repair. But here's what most people don't realize. By the time you slide under the covers, your muscles are on the edge of a problem. You've stopped eating, which means you've stopped giving them the raw materials they need. No protein, no amino acids. For the next 7-9 hours, they're running on empty. And when that happens, your body quietly flips a switch from building mode to breakdown mode. It starts pulling amino acids from your own muscle tissue to keep your systems running. For younger people, this isn't a huge deal, but past 60, that breakdown hits harder, repairs slower, and over weeks and months, it adds up to noticeable weakness. That's why this next habit matters. It feeds your muscles right before that overnight shift begins, giving them a steady drip of what they need so they can repair instead of robbing your reserves. And here's the best part. It's not a supplement. It's a comfort drink you might already know. Warm milk. Before you roll your eyes, this isn't just about the milk itself. It's about what you add to it. Collagen peptides, rich in glycine, which helps you fall into deep restorative sleep faster and supports the repair of connective tissues around your joints. Nutmeg, a natural sedative in small doses, relaxing restless legs without morning grogginess. The milk delivers tryptophan, which your brain converts to serotonin and then melatonin, guiding you into the deep sleep cycles where growth hormone surges and muscles do their heaviest repair work. Janet, 69, tried this after years of 2 a.m. calf cramps. She mixed 8 ounces of low-fat milk with 10 grams of unflavored collagen, dusted the top with nutmeg, and sipped it 30 minutes before bed. After a week, the cramps vanished. Her fitness tracker showed a 23% jump in deep sleep minutes, and her morning walks felt effortless. Making it is simple. Heat the milk until it just starts to steam. Whisk in the collagen until dissolved. Sprinkle on nutmeg. Sip slowly. Lights dimmed, screens off. If you can't do dairy, fortified almond milk works. Just note you'll lose some natural tryptophan and skip the sugar. Even a teaspoon can blunt growth hormone release by up to 25% in older adults. It's a small, calming ritual that tells your body, the day's work is done, it's time to rebuild. And when you wake up, you're not just rested, you're stronger than when you went to bed. But there's still one more upgrade for nighttime repair, one that works silently for hours while you sleep, feeding your muscles with precision, a slow-release protein that turns the whole night into a muscle-building shift. Here's the truth. Even with your collagen milk ritual, your body is still going to burn through those amino acids faster than you think. The real overnight muscle saver, casein protein. Casein is one of the 2 proteins found in milk, the other being whey. Most people know whey because it's the go-to for post-workout shakes. Whey is fast. It floods your bloodstream in under an hour, perfect after exercise, but useless for the long stretch of a night's sleep. By midnight, it's gone. Casein works differently. When you drink it, it forms a soft gel in your stomach that slows digestion to a crawl, in a good way. Instead of dumping amino acids into your bloodstream all at once, it releases them steadily for 6-8 hours. Think of it like an IV drip for your muscles while you sleep. Steady supply, all night long. Scientists have tested this in older adults. In one study, those who took 40 grams of casein protein about 30 minutes before bed had significantly higher rates of overnight muscle protein synthesis compared to those who didn't. That means not only did they protect their muscle, they actually built new fibers without lifting a single weight during the night. Here's why it matters even more after 60. Your muscles develop something called anabolic resistance. They stop responding as well to small amounts of protein. You need a bigger, steady push to trigger growth. Casein's slow release gives your muscles that push hour after hour instead of just one quick spike. Yes, you can get casein from cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, but here's the catch. You'd have to eat a pretty big serving to hit the 30-40 grams needed for maximum effect. That can be heavy right before bed. That's why most experts recommend a simple scoop of micellar casein protein powder mixed with water or almond milk. Light, easy to digest, and no guessing on the dose. And no, eating protein before bed won't make you fat. In fact, casein has a high thermic effect, meaning your body burns more calories just digesting it. Plus, by supporting muscle mass, it keeps your metabolism higher overall. Here's how to make it work. Timing, drink it 30-60 minutes before sleep. Mix 1 scoop micellar casein with water or almond milk, unsweetened. Optional, add a sprinkle of cinnamon for taste without sugar. Over time, This one small step protects the muscle you've built all day and keeps you waking up with legs that feel steady, not stiff. So far, we've focused on protein timing and muscle repair, but there's another piece of the puzzle that can make or break your results. 2 nutrients that act like spark plugs for your muscle cells. Without them, even the best protein plan can stall. Picture this. But you've been hitting your morning anabolic pulse, getting your protein, even adding the casein before bed, yet your legs still feel sluggish when you stand up. What's going on? Sometimes the problem isn't the muscle itself, it's the wiring. Muscle fibers don't just magically contract. They need a spark, a chemical signal that says go. For that, your body relies on vitamin D. Most people think of vitamin D as the bone vitamin, but in your muscles, it's the spark plug. Without enough, your brain sends the move signal, but the muscles hesitate, twitch, or fatigue too soon. The data is hard to ignore. A large Harvard study found seniors with low vitamin D were nearly 3 times more likely to experience muscle weakness and difficulty walking, not because their muscles were gone, but because the signal couldn't get through. And here's the kicker. You can live in a sunny climate and still be deficient. Why? Sunscreen, long sleeves, staying indoors, and the natural decline in your skin's ability to produce vitamin D after 60 all add up. John, 72, found this out the hard way. She loved gardening, but one winter she started wobbling on icy porch steps. She assumed it was age. A blood test told a different story. Her vitamin D levels were low. Her doctor put her on a safe supplement plan, plus 10 minutes of sun exposure a day. 12 weeks later, she was back to hauling flower pots without holding the railing. But here's where most people drop the ball. Even if you do get enough vitamin D, it won't work properly without its co-pilot, magnesium. Magnesium is the mechanic that installs the spark plug. Without it, vitamin D just sits there, inactive. In fact, a 2023 study of rehab patients over 65 found that fixing vitamin D levels without fixing magnesium barely moved the needle on strength. Fix both and lower limb power jumped 20% faster. Food first makes this easy. Vitamin D, UV-exposed mushrooms, eggs, yolks, fortified dairy or plant milks, canned salmon, sardines. Magnesium, pumpkin seeds, spinach, black beans, dark chocolate, 70% plus cocoa. Bill, 68, learned this after months of taking vitamin D pills with no results. A blood panel showed he was low in magnesium. 2 months of adding a banana spinach smoothie and swapping white bread for whole grain, and his chair stand time dropped from 26 seconds to 18. A few tips. Daily targets. Around 800 best to 1,000 IU of vitamin D after 70, and about 400 milligrams of magnesium. Pair them. Take vitamin D with a small amount of dietary fat for better absorption. Don't overdose. Too much vitamin D above 4,000 IU daily or magnesium from supplements can cause problems. Always check with your doctor. With vitamin D firing the signal and magnesium making sure it connects, your muscles finally have a clear path from brain to fiber, meaning every rep, every step, every repair you've built so far pays off. Now, to get these nutrients working even harder, there's a morning ritual that pairs them with food and movement for maximum absorption, and it takes less than 15 minutes. You can swallow every vitamin pill in the world, but if your body isn't absorbing them, you're just making expensive urine. That's where this 15-minute ritual comes in. A simple combination of food, fat, sunlight, and movement that turns vitamin D and magnesium into muscle power you can feel. Here's how it works. Step 1. The breakfast boost. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, meaning it needs fat to hitch a ride into your bloodstream. Without fat, much of it passes straight through. So in the morning, start with a quick fat-friendly breakfast that includes your vitamin D and magnesium sources. Think a smoothie with fortified soy milk, spinach, banana, and a teaspoon of almond butter, or 2 eggs with sautéed mushrooms and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds on top. The healthy fats act like tiny taxis, carrying the vitamin D through your gut wall and into circulation. Magnesium joins the ride, setting up in your muscles where it can activate the vitamin D later. Step 2. The sunlight circuit. Within 20 minutes of eating, step outside for a brisk 10-minute walk. No need for marathon pace, just enough to get your heart rate slightly up and your muscles pumping. Why so soon? Because sunlight doesn't just make you feel awake. The UVB rays spark your skin to produce vitamin D naturally. The fresh dose from the sun merges with what you just ate, giving your levels a powerful double hit. And here's the hidden bonus. Movement increases blood flow, helping those nutrients reach your muscles faster. It's like taking the back roads out of town instead of sitting in traffic. Delivery is quicker and more of it arrives intact. Betty, 74, swore she'd never be a morning walk person, but she agreed to try the ritual for 2 weeks. Her version was simple: blend soy milk, frozen berries, spinach, and peanut butter, then loop her garden 3 times. By week 2, her 5-rise chair test had dropped from 22 seconds to 16. Her blood work, vitamin D finally in the optimal range. Step 3. Rainy day rule. Don't let weather be an excuse. Clouds still let through UVB, just less of it. On cloudy days, aim for 20 minutes instead of 10. If you can't get outside, pace your hallway or march in place by a window while you drink your smoothie. The movement still boosts absorption even without direct sunlight. This ritual works because it stacks 3 nutrient multipliers: fat for absorption, sun for synthesis, movement for delivery. Do it daily, and your vitamin D and magnesium stop being numbers on a lab report and start being fuel your muscles can actually use. By now, you've got the nutrition side of the puzzle nearly perfected. Morning repair, midday protein, afternoon circulation, and nighttime protection. But tracking your progress is the part that keeps you motivated and helps you spot plateaus before they happen. And the easiest way to do that? One simple test, once a week, in your own living room. Here's the truth. It's easy to think your legs are getting stronger, but until you see proof, it's all guesswork. That's why I want you to make the chair stand test your new Monday ritual. No fancy equipment, no gym membership, just you, a sturdy chair, and a stopwatch. How to do it? Sit in the chair, feet flat, arms crossed over your chest. Stand up fully, then sit back down, 5 times in a row. Time yourself. Healthy adults over 60 should finish in under 20 seconds. Under 15, you're in the strong and steady lane. Over 20, you're in the high fall risk zone. But the good news is that number can change faster than you think. Write down your time in what I call a chair diary. 1 page, 1 column for times. Every Monday morning after breakfast, you run the test again. Same chair, same floor, same shoes. Here's why it works. A Japanese study found seniors who retested weekly shaved an average of 0.4 seconds off their time just from familiarity. But the real drops, 2, 3, even 5 seconds, come when your nutrition, timing, and movement stack together. Bill, 68, started at 26 seconds 6 weeks later, After adding the cottage cheese breakfast, tofu lunch, beet smoothie, and nighttime casein, he clocked in at 17 seconds. That's the difference between needing a handrail and walking straight upstairs with a bag of groceries. Want to speed things up even more? Add a resistance band to the routine once you're comfortable. The band boost. Loop a medium band under both feet. Hold the ends at shoulder height. Perform 8 slow squats after your Monday chair test. Why? Bands recruit more fast twitch fibers, the ones you use to catch yourself if you stumble. And here's the kicker. Cambridge researchers found that seniors combining light resistance training with vitamin D saw an extra 10% boost in lower limb power compared to nutrition alone. Pro tips. If your knees complain, keep the movement small. Focus on slow control, no bouncing. If balance feels tricky, put a chair behind you as a safety net. Track your times week by week, and you'll see the trend. A little faster, a little stronger, a little steadier, proof your work is paying off. And when you hit a plateau, that's not failure, it's a signal. Time to tweak your plan, bump your protein, or add a new movement challenge. Now that you've got the data side handled, we're down to the last piece of the puzzle. The part that turns all of these habits from things you have to remember into automatic second nature routines. That's where the real long-term wins happen. The truth about leg strength after 60 isn't that you can't get it back. It's that most people can't stick to the habits that rebuild it. Not because they're lazy, but because they're relying on willpower alone. And willpower is like a phone battery. It runs out fast. That's where the habit loop comes in. A habit loop has 3 parts. Cue, the trigger that reminds you to act. Action, the habit itself. Reward, the little payoff your brain gets, so it wants to repeat the habit. Once you lock these in, the habit stops feeling like work and starts running on autopilot. Here's how to apply it to your new muscle routine. Morning cue, flipping on the kettle or coffee maker. Action, while it heats, prep your cottage cheese parfait. Reward, that first creamy bite paired with your morning coffee. Midday cue, the clock hits noon. Action, stir-fry tofu with red bell pepper. Reward, a light, energized feeling instead of an afternoon slump. Afternoon cue, you finish a task, check your phone, or glance at the clock around 3:30. Action, blend the beet banana cocoa smoothie. Reward, noticeably lighter legs during your evening walk. Night cue, brushing your teeth. Action, mix your Casein shake or collagen milk. Reward, a warm, calm feeling as you settle into bed, knowing your muscles are being fed all night. The secret is to stack each action onto something you already do without thinking. That way, you're not adding a dozen new to-do items. You're just attaching new habits to old ones. And when life throws you off, travel, guests, weather, have if-then plans ready. If it's raining and I can't walk outside, then I'll pace the hallway while drinking my smoothie. If I forget my cottage cheese at breakfast, then I'll move it to a mid-morning snack within the anabolic window. Betty, our gardening champion from earlier, taped her cues to her fridge. Kettle, no parfait. Noon, no tofu. 3:30, smoothie. Brush teeth, no collagen. Within 5 weeks, she didn't need the list anymore. Her body remembered before her mind did. Here's the real magic. According to a 2025 study in behavioral nutrition and aging, older adults who tracked consistency, not just results, were 42% more likely to maintain their gains through the entire winter flu season. Why? Because seeing the streak build day after day is more motivating than any single stopwatch number. In other words, your chair stand times will improve, but what will keep them improving is the quiet pride in never breaking the chain. And that brings us to the final piece, the conclusion that ties all these steps into one unstoppable routine. By now, you've built something powerful. Not just a list of foods or exercises, a full-day blueprint for keeping your legs strong, steady, and reliable for years to come. It starts the moment you wake up. You hit your anabolic pulse with a cottage cheese parfait, fueling your repair crews when they're most ready to work. It rolls into lunch. You fire up a plant-powered leucine lunch with tofu and red bell pepper, recycling protein for a second repair wave. The afternoon slump, you've turned it into a win. A beet banana cocoa smoothie floods your muscles with oxygen, so your evening walk becomes a bonus workout. Night is no longer a time for silent muscle loss. Collagen, milk calms your body. Casein protein feeds your muscles for hours. If you're aviar people, P-morbid mischte of hours, but more something fish and 60, it's something that use brun. And you wake up feeling steady instead of stiff. Then you've layered on the spark plugs. Vitamin D to fire the signal. Magnesium to make sure it connects. And a morning absorption ritual that locks it all in. You've built the tracking system. Chair diary to see your progress week by week. Resistance bands to keep pushing forward. And the habit loop that makes it automatic, even when life gets messy. And here's the part most people miss. This isn't about trying for a few weeks. This is about shifting your baseline. In 6 months, you won't think twice about walking up a steep driveway, carrying groceries without leaning, or stepping over a high curb. That won't be a good day. It will just be your normal. Because the truth is, aging doesn't have to be a slow slide into weakness. It can be a steady climb towards staying capable. Every choice you make, the breakfast timing, the lunch pairing, the afternoon walk, the nighttime protein, is a deposit into your independence account, and the interest compounds. You're not just keeping muscle. You're keeping balance, confidence, and freedom. You're giving yourself the ability to catch your own fall, climb your own stairs, carry your own life, literally. So tomorrow morning, when you roll out of bed, remember this. You're not just waking up. You're waking up stronger. And if you ever doubt it, just check your chair diary. The proof will be right there. 1 second faster, 1 step steadier, 1 week stronger. This isn't the end of your strength story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one you get to write, one steady, confident step at a time.